The experiment has begun, and it has a name we know very well, but one almost nobody expected to see holding a first baseman's glove at the Dunedin complex in February: Eloy Jimenez. If you had told me 2 years ago that we'd be discussing Eloy as a depth piece for the Blue Jays bench, trying to carve out space behind Vladdy, I would have said you were watching a different sport. But the reality of MLB is ruthless, and the reality of the Toronto Blue Jays in 2026 is a near-desperate search for offensive production that doesn't cost a fortune on the payroll. What we saw in the last few hours, with Keegan Matheson reporting Eloy taking defensive drills at first base alongside Guerrero Jr., isn't just a routine test, it's a survival attempt, for the player and for John Schneider's bench plan. Let's be honest here, his stint in Buffalo last year was a disaster. A 167 average in 21 plate appearances? That doesn't keep anyone in professional baseball. But the Jays decided to double down with this minor league contract, and the reason is simple. Eloy's ceiling is still a ghost that haunts scouts. The raw talent is there, buried behind a medical history that reads like an encyclopedia of injuries, and a confidence level that, until recently, was rock bottom. And this is where the conversation becomes human. The guy thought about retiring. He admitted he talked with his family, that he couldn't take the cycle of pain and lack of opportunity anymore. When an elite player reaches that mental stage, he either disappears for good, or he comes back with a hunger that money can't explain anymore. He went to lead home, played for the Toros del Este, and suddenly Big Baby showed up. Round-robin MVP, 10 doubles, 16 RBIs. The bat woke up. The problem? Toronto doesn't have room for him in the outfield. With Jesus Sanchez arriving as a full-time outfielder and the depth already in place, Eloy in the outfield is a safety risk. Not just because of below-average defense, but because every sprint after a ball down the line feels like an invitation for another muscle strain. So the logical solution, or maybe the only solution, is first base. But does the risk outweigh the flexibility you lose? Think about it. The ideal bench for a team trying to compete in the American League East needs versatility. If Nathan Lukes is your fourth outfielder and Davis Schneider is the Swiss Army knife who plays everywhere, where does a designated hitter trying to learn first base at 29 fit in? If Eloy makes the 26-man roster, someone is out, and that someone is probably Myles Straw. It's a clear philosophical shift. You sacrifice elite defense and base running speed for a power bat that can change a game in the 7th inning. It's a bet on offensive aggression. But almost nobody talks about the tactical danger there. Vladdy will need rest. Spring camp was short. The wear and tear is real. Kazuma Okamoto is now the everyday third baseman, which removes some of the chessboard flexibility we used to have. If Vladdy needs a day at DH, or just a day in the dugout to breathe, can Eloy hold the line defensively? In the Dominican Winter League, there were concerns, a lot of concerns. If he's a defensive black hole, his bat will have to produce like it's 2020 to compensate. And there's one detail that changes everything: health history. Eloy Jimenez in the lineup is like driving a high-performance sports car that could lose a part at any moment on the highway. It's hard to plan a 162-game season counting on him. On the other hand, if he maintains the form he showed in Lidom, we're talking about a guy who could hit 20-25 home runs coming off the bench or splitting time at DH. For a team like the Jays, which often struggles to drive in runs in key moments, that's a temptation that's hard to ignore. John Schneider is in a tough spot. George Springer and Vladdy occupy the DH and first base spots most of the time. Eloy becomes expendable if he can't offer anything beyond hitting. Starting this Saturday, he has to prove he's more than just a platoon bat against lefties. He has to prove he belongs on a major league roster. The clubhouse dynamic in Dunedin seems positive. Seeing him work with Vladdy shows a willingness that maybe was missing in his Chicago days. He knows this is very likely his last real chance to wear a meaningful uniform. But let's strip the makeup off the analysis. If Eloy Jimenez doesn't hit 300 with power right away in spring training, the first base experiment dies before we even get to Toronto for opening day. His margin for error is 0. He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. The Jays are playing with house money here. It's a minor league deal. If it doesn't work, the cut is simple and painless financially. But if it does work, if that Winter League MVT version lands at Rogers Center, the bench goes from functional to dangerous. The question for us to chew on before exhibition games begins is simple. Do you prefer the defensive security of Myles Straw or the explosive volatility of Eloy Jimenez taking that last bench spot? At the end of the day, baseball in Toronto has always been about balancing outrageous talent with fundamental execution. Eloy has the talent. The execution? Well, the ellipses say it all. Keep an eye on Saturday. The first ball hit toward first base will tell us a lot about the future of this roster. Do you think Eloy's bat outweighs the defensive risk and injury history, or is this just another promise that won't make it to April? Drop your thoughts below. I want to know if you'd buy a ticket for the Big Baby Show, or if you've already run out of patience with players built like this.